But the story that we are breaking at the very top, now news coming in that Pakistan could well play their World Cup T20 match versus India next Sunday in Sri Lanka. A resolution of the India versus Pakistan row, or the ICC versus Pakistan Cricket Board row, expected soon. ICC likely to make an official announcement in the next 24 hours. Sources saying ICC has rejected some of the conditions put by Pakistan. Pakistan Cricket Board Chief Mohsin Naqvi is to meet Pakistan Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif soon before any decision is taken. That India versus Pakistan World Cup match that Pakistan has threatened to boycott is slated for next Sunday. The PCB Chief Mohsin Naqvi on the ICC delegation to Pakistan has said, when a guest comes over, then you try and forget a lot of things. That's the clearest hint yet that PCB is set for a U-turn on the India boycott. Our consulting sports editor Nikhil Naz is joining us. Nikhil, it appears that we could now actually have a breakthrough. Can you tell us what is the most likely option or solution that we could see in the next 24 hours?
Rajdeep, well, what you've just told the viewers is completely fresh off the press. This is a statement that has just been issued about a few seconds ago that we are breaking here on India Today. Mohsin Naqvi, the PCB chief, was at the auctions of the PSL, Pakistan Super League. He then was there at a press conference where he was talking about the auction, and then a question was asked about what is it that they've made about the ICC decision, about their boycott of the India match. And he has said, and I'm just quoting him, he just gave a one-line answer where he says, when a guest comes over, because an ICC delegation, remember, came to Pakistan, he says, when a guest comes over, then you try and forget a lot of things, which is a clearest indication yet that Pakistan has made up its mind that they are ready to play India come the 15th of February. Clearly, when he hints at forget things, these must be the issues that Pakistan were raising earlier, basis which they were saying they're not going to play the India match. So it also tells you that all their demands may not have been met. Maybe ICC came halfway, and basis that Pakistan has taken a call to be playing India. He said also, he added, and I'm just giving this fresh update, he added a little later when pressed for some more information, he added that in a few hours from now you'll get our official stance. But as I said, Rajdeep, the statement that comes out is the clearest indication yet that Pakistan is doing a U-turn.
Very quickly, what is that halfway house? Bangladesh will, we are told, be probably given the revenue that they were going to lose for not participating in the World Cup. Is that the halfway house that has been reached so that Pakistan can get a face saver?
It does seem like that, Rajdeep, at the moment, because what we found out, there were multiple demands that the Pakistan Cricket Board put in front of the ICC. Some of those demands, ICC couldn't really help and come up with a solution. They asked for bilateral series with India, some sort of protocol with handshake, to which I think ICC seems to have told the PCB that, listen, these are matters between two boards. We can't be meddling with it. But you talk about what could be the halfway house. One, of course, compensation to the Bangladesh Cricket Board. The other that we're picking up could be that the hybrid model was to last between India and Pakistan till 2026, that is this T20 World Cup. The next big ICC event is in South Africa in 27. That's not an issue. But after that, the 50-over World Cup is to be held in India and Bangladesh. It is believed that Pakistan may have put this request that for that World Cup as well, continue with the hybrid model, and we may not want to play our matches in India, allow us to play matches in Bangladesh. That could be another understanding that could be reached between the ICC and the Pakistan Cricket Board. And so basis this, and Bangladesh being given that money, and maybe the bilateral series that was to happen between India Bangladesh that has been in limbo for some time, that also goes ahead and planned. So these things could have prompted Pakistan then to agree.
Okay, Nikhil Naz with that latest update on that big controversy over matches between India and Pakistan. A controversy, or should we say the continuing logjam inside the Lok Sabha, which continued for another day, which meant that the budget debate could not take place in the Lok Sabha, with chaos and slogan shouting derailing proceedings. At the center of the disruption, yet again, leader of the opposition Rahul Gandhi, he protested remarks attributed to the speaker, walked up to the chair asking once again, will I be allowed to speak? The chair asked him to submit a notice and speak later, with Union Minister Kiran Rijiju objecting and escalating the standoff. What began as a procedural clash has now spiraled into a larger political confrontation. Opposition parties are even preparing to move a no-confidence motion against Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla, accusing him of repeated bias and denying Rahul Gandhi the right to speak. In a fresh escalation, 6 of those MPs have written to the Speaker asking him to act impartially. Priyanka Gandhi Vadra among those who has said that the Speaker must refrain from making defamatory allegations against women MPs who he said were going to physically assault the Prime Minister last week. Now, all of this, of course, meant that the budget wasn't discussed and neither was the critical Indo-US trade deal that continues to stir a debate. The opposition is questioning whether this deal will impact India's strategic autonomy and the agriculture sector. The DMK has moved a privilege motion against Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal for saying that he has not informed Parliament about the details of the deal while speaking outside Parliament. The key question, of course, is Donald Trump's claim that India will no longer buy oil from Russia. The government so far has not clarified its position. Take a look at tonight's other big story.
The Indo-US trade deal is turning into a political flashpoint. The interim agreement has triggered concerns among opposition parties, farmer groups and foreign policy experts after more details emerged over the weekend. The opposition is now demanding answers. The DMK has moved a privilege notice against Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal, alleging that the Union Minister addressed a press conference on the trade deal before briefing Parliament. The Congress has also stepped up pressure even as the party accuses the Speaker of silencing Rahul Gandhi in Lok Sabha.
My guess is that the government is worried about having a debate on the budget because the issue of the US deal, the way it was done, what has happened, the impact on our farmers is going to be discussed, and the government doesn't want to do that.
One of the concerns about the trade deal is the impact it has on India's strategic autonomy. While the India-US joint statement made no mention of any commitment by India to halt Russian oil purchases, the executive order by President Donald Trump revoking the 25% tariff clearly states that the US will monitor whether India resumes Russian oil purchases, and that this would determine whether a 25% import duty would be reimposed. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal played down concerns that US is dictating terms to India.
Decisions are taken by the buyers, by the companies themselves. So the trade deal doesn't discuss who will buy what and from where.
Indian refiners are avoiding Russian oil purchases and are expected to stay away from such trades. India's crude oil imports from Russia fell to a 38-month low of $2.7 billion in December 2025, following stepped-up US sanctions on Russian oil majors Rosneft and Lukoil. The MEA has reiterated India's position that the country is diversifying its energy resources to meet the needs of its 1.4 billion people. However, the key question remains, is the US trying to arm twist India? Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's raise those questions that it seems no one either wants to ask and certainly no one seems to answer. Is the US trying to arm twist India on oil purchases? Is India's strategic autonomy protected, or will it be hit if the United States dictates terms on oil purchases? Will India actually halt oil imports from Russia or only diversify its basket further? Will there be friction within with the Trump administration on this issue? Joining me now, our special guest, Ambassador Zalmay Khalilzad is 26th US representative to the UN, a former US ambassador. KC Singh is former Indian ambassador, and Dr. Brahma Chelani is strategic affairs expert. Thank you all very much for joining us. Before I come to you, I just want to play what Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri has said today on the contentious issue, maintaining that the foremost priority, he said, was to safeguard the interests of Indian consumers, but added oil refiners will decide where to import oil from depending on market conditions. Listen in to him and then we'll come to our guests.
Our approach is to maintain multiple sources of supply and diversify them as appropriate to ensure stability. Therefore, I would say that the more diversified we are in this area, the more secure we are. Insofar as actual sourcing of energy is concerned, again, all of you follow this closely, so you know that the actual sourcing is done by oil companies in the public sector, oil companies in the private sector. And they make decisions based on market conditions. They assess availability at any given point in time. They assess risks. They assess costs in this process. And obviously, all of these companies also have their own internal accountability related processes to look at, and certain fiduciary responsibilities in the market.
Okay, let me take that to you, Dr. Brahma Chelani first. Dr. Chelani, you've come out and said you've already raised questions certainly on Twitter or X about this ambiguity over oil purchases. Now the government is saying, look, we have multiple sources and it is for private oil refiners to decide based on market conditions. Can you really say that the US is arm twisting India?
Let's be clear on one thing, Rajdeep. The issue is not about India's Russian oil purchases. It was never about India's Russian oil purchases. If it was about Russian energy imports, the US would have gone after the largest and second largest importers of Russian energy, which are China and the EU. But it has taken no action against either. In fact, Washington is currently negotiating a deal with Moscow that will extend to the energy sector after the Ukraine war is over. The issue is about forcing India to turn its back on Russian energy supplies so that India buys higher priced US energy. It is about tying India's energy security to a more expensive and geographically distant supplier, the US. In a way, history is repeating itself. After Trump in his first term imposed a blanket ban on Iranian energy exports, India halted all its oil imports from Iran. Iran is geographically the closest supplier for India, and traditionally, Iran has offered its oil to India at a discount to the Brent benchmark. Because of the US sanctions, the heavily discounted Iranian crude remains the world's cheapest, much cheaper than even Russian oil. But India's termination of oil imports from Iran made China the almost exclusive buyer of Iranian energy. But more importantly, India, after ending its energy relationship with Iran, began buying American oil and gas in a major way. If you see the data from 2019 onwards, how India's imports from the US rose sharply. Now, by squeezing India on Russian oil purchases, Trump is hoping that India will succumb to US pressure once again and become a top energy client of the US. After all, India in that interim trade deal has already committed to buying $500 billion worth of American products over the next 5 years. $500 billion, India's total annual budget is only about $600 billion. So you can imagine the scale of India's commitment, and quite a bit of that commitment will have to go to buying American energy.
You're making an important point, and this is what I want to take to you there in America, Zalmai Khalilzad, that you've got Donald Trump saying in an executive order issued by the White House that India is committed not to buy oil directly or indirectly from Russia. And as Brahma Chelani is saying, China gets away by buying Russian oil. EU is buying Russian oil. America is about to have an agreement on energy with Russia, possibly. So it appears from an Indian perspective, although New Delhi is not saying it, that America is trying to arm twist India to force them to buy more expensive US/Venezuelan oil rather than buy Russian oil. Do you see it in those terms? Is this Donald Trump arm twisting India, sir?
Well, first of all, it's a great honor to be with you. US and India have the objective of increasing their partnership. And a key element of that partnership, an area that I focus on, security issues, is working together where there is a common interest. And Ukraine, ending the war in Ukraine, is an important Indian and American objective. And one way to press for ending that conflict is reducing Russian financial resources, and oil is one of the key sources of income.
Sir, but why,
for Russia.
sir, with due regard, sir, why is the same rule not applied to a China or a EU? I mean, China is the biggest purchaser of oil from Russia. At no stage is the United States putting similar pressure on Beijing. Why only on New Delhi, sir?
Well, we have put a lot of pressure on our other partners in Europe, for example, over many years to not import Russian gas. And in fact, that huge progress has been made due to US pressure in the reduction of European purchases of Russian gas, which was a huge source of income. I think we continue to press China and Europe, almost anyone of significance that imports.
But Ambassador, I'm going to, this is an executive order. In an executive order for the White House to say India has committed not to purchase Russian oil. I mean, it is almost as if the US is now going to monitor it. In fact, that's also said that the Commerce Secretary of the US, Mr. Lutnick, will monitor it. I mean, is this the United States believing that they can bulldoze New Delhi? I ask you this again. Why not the same for Beijing? Why not put an executive order of similar, in a similar manner to that involves China, sir?
Well, I would respond by saying I don't speak first for the administration. I am a private citizen. That increasing pressure on China to reduce imports of Russian oil, I would support that. This has to be taken into account. But we have pressed our partners, whether it's India or European countries, to reduce, in fact, to end the import of energy resources from Russia, because that finances the war, which we all say we want that war to end, and India has been active in its own right to help end that war.
I take your point, but K.C. Singh, it seems a little strange the way that executive order was framed by Donald Trump. Is this typical Donald Trump maybe catering to his domestic constituency? Or is this Donald Trump sending a message to India that, look, you follow the commitments I've said, otherwise who knows, tomorrow morning I'll restore the 25% penalty. How should India see it? The manner in which this has been framed and the fact that the Indian government is passing the buck. You ask the Commerce Minister, he says, please talk to the External Affairs Minister. Ask the External Affairs Minister, he says, please talk to the Commerce Minister.
That's precisely what is creating the problem. You see, the management of media, we saw after Operation Sindoor, we saw in case of a number of things, the media management is very centralized and they try not sharing the information rather than explaining to the media and to the people what exactly is happening. In fact, the Chinese, you see the information today, have already upped their imports from Russia. They're going to pick up that oil which India was taking immediately. It's gone up by 1 million barrels. And President Trump is headed to China. He's going to be talking to them. He calls it a G2. He's really treating China entirely differently. China, high tariffs were levied on China, but then he rolled them back when the Chinese used the rare earths argument and said, we'll stop the rare earths to you, which means that the way to deal with Trump is to have something in your pocket with which you can negotiate and exert counter pressure. Whereas India has kind of sat back and we waited, and then all of a sudden we do this, and neither they nor the details are available, nor India is willing to fully explain what's happening. But you take this Ukraine war, the justification for India being forced to stop the oil import is to help stop the Ukraine war. Now, Ukraine war is affecting Europe more than it's affecting President Trump. The Europeans came and did a free trade agreement. They didn't put any condition on India that you stop importing oil from Russia. They're the ones affected by the Ukraine war. The way the Ukraine war can be ended is President Trump should be helping militarily the Ukrainians. He's pulled back that support. So, it's all just a very complex argument. But very simply, what he's doing is trade deals are not trade deals. Trade deals are normally about balancing trade. He's using tariffs to try influencing the geopolitics or the diplomacy of another country and make it subservient to his opinions and his views. And I think that's what's happening here. Let me give you a counter argument. Why don't we put a condition in the trade agreement that tomorrow, if he pampers Pakistan and there's a terrorist attack on India, then we'll impose tariffs on him? That would be the equivalent of this. But there he's pampering their army chief. He's talking to them. He has no problem with that. If you bring in geopolitics into trade, then India can also have arguments. And it's just not justifiable. And the government is just ducking. And that's not
Mr. KC Singh, what could India say? Very, very quickly, what could India say if Donald Trump says in his, how could India respond? What is the geopolitical strategy that India has to put pressure on America?
Maybe publicly not. But what you could say in private is, if you do this, we have said we'll give you zero tariffs. We don't even know if we're getting zero tariffs on how much of Indian exports. It's not clear as yet. And the 20 punitive tariffs, there's a threat of reimposing them. Then addition is announced, any trade with Iran means that there'll be punitive tariffs. So he's influencing your foreign policy, and you have not imposed any condition. We certainly, privately, we should have told them, if you go on pampering Pakistan, the way you are pampering them, then I'm sorry, it's affecting India's national security. And we'll also bring it into a trade discussions. We're doing trade discussions, and he's doing a broad-based trade, come geopolitics, come diplomacy, come strategic leverage, a complex thing.
Okay, I want to bring in Brahma back on this. Brahma Chelani, what are India's options, realistic options? Any negotiations involve an element of give and take. Given the fact that we want this trade deal at all costs, we don't want a 25% penalty. Somewhere down the line, we've had to meet the Americans halfway is the argument. I'm going to put up the numbers of how already the oil purchases from Russia have reduced significantly in the last 6 months. What option does India have? Can India look the Americans in the eye and say that we will not purchase Russian oil? I'll ask my producer to put the figures of how our dependence on Russian oil, and the government says private refineries have to decide. It's the Reliances of the world who have to decide whether they want to get windfall profits from buying cheap Russian oil and then refining them here and then selling them in the high seas.
Rajdeep, let me ask a counter question. How is it that tiny Singapore faces only a 10% US tariff, and India, after all these concessions as part of the interim trade deal, will face 18% tariff? Why? The reason is, first and foremost, in fact, one of the cardinal principles of international negotiations is that you do not negotiate at gunpoint. You don't negotiate when the other side has imposed sanctions or unveiled threats against you. The US negotiated with India after keeping India under 50% punitive tariffs for 6 months. It was in this period, 6-month period, when India made these concessions. But now look at the structure of the deal. The structure is very important. In this deal, India's concessions are immediate and quantified. The American quote-unquote concessions are conditional or largely corrective, such as a reduction of previously imposed penalties. Indian commitments are to be monitored. US commitments are reversible. For India, the deal is just a restoration of US market access that was taken away by the punitive tariffs of last year. But for the US, the deal is a significant expansion of Indian market access. And one other point, Washington today is essentially charging India an 18% fee to enter the American market while demanding India open its own market for zero fee. This is the essence of the deal.
Right.
Now, how is it that Singapore is a better negotiator than India? Why? Why don't we learn from smaller countries how to negotiate? How do you negotiate? How do you negotiate with America when you are under withering 50% tariffs, you try to be the good boy. You refuse to have any counter tariffs imposed on the US. You decide that you will negotiate while under those draconian tariffs. The result is what we see today.
I take your point, but I want to also get a counter. Zalmay Khalilzad, do you really believe that this, in the manner in which Brahma Chalani is putting this structure of this deal is one-sided, where America is setting all the conditions, oil being one of them? Do you believe that it is one-sided, or you believe it's that is not how we should view this deal? We should view this as a major breakthrough.
I am of the view that this is a major and important breakthrough, although the details have to be still negotiated. It's a framework agreement at this point. And that if you read the US media and discussions here, like India being a democratic society and polity, there is a lot of criticism of the US, of the administration position, that nothing has changed fundamentally in the Indian stance since the imposition of the additional tariffs, and that this was done because of the success that India had with EU on a free trade agreement, that India stood rather firm in terms of its position. So yes, of course, both sides, analysts and those who follow this in detail, will have questions. Congress would get involved in the United States, and Parliament will get involved in India. But I believe, given the geopolitical and geoeconomic circumstances in which the world is today, and given President Trump's use of tariffs as a tool, which is very unique to him personally, to advance U.S. interests as he sees them. This is, I think, probably as a result of a lot of hard work and involvement of the two leaders to judge that this is at this time in the best interest of both countries.
30 seconds only, K.C. Singh. Therefore, going ahead, do you believe when India says we are diversifying, the official MEA statement is we have a diverse oil basket? Should we take it at face value? A very quick comment.
Well, the problem is not that you won't get oil from elsewhere, although Trump would like you to buy the Venezuelan oil. That's all good. Even Ambani is very happy with it because his refineries like that oil. But the issue is that it's likely to affect your relationship with Russia. So which means oil is being used as a weapon to detach you from Russia, which has been traditionally a very reliable partner, ally of India, and has helped us during difficult times. So, you know, it is a way of influencing your foreign policy, not just your commercial or trade policy or your petrochemical policy. That is no issue. You'll get it from somewhere else. And the price is low in any case at the moment, unless the war breaks out in Iran. But if you allow yourself, you've had a new yardstick, it's been fixed, which means a future president knows how to press India, will press you accordingly. It means that India can be pressurized like this. And that is, I think you're setting an example, which is not a good example. Just very quickly, Rajdeep, so the cases of the tariffs is before the US Supreme Court. It still hasn't given a verdict. It's possible that the tariffs are removed anyway. Secondly, you know, he's going to China. Trump is going to China. We could have waited for that to see that his differences multiply with China. He might have come back to us with a better deal. Yeah.
I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. I've heard various viewpoints. Clearly, this oil question will continue to roil. And therefore, unless there is complete clarity on it, questions will continue to be raised. What was the backroom deal within a deal, if any, that was done when it came to Russian oil? Russia, importantly, says they have not heard anything from India on the issue yet. Thank you all to my guests for joining me on my talking point tonight on that question. Let me turn to the story that's also coming in at the moment, because there is trouble that's mounting for Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma over a shooting video that was put out on social media by the BJP's Assam unit. 12 eminent citizens and activists have now filed a plea in the Supreme Court. Their plea is that the video which showed Himanta Biswa Sarma with a gun shooting at a point-blank range at people who were identifiable from the Muslim community is inciting hatred. The plea says Assam Chief Minister is making anti-Muslim statements and wants action against those holding constitutional posts, making hate speeches. Among those who filed that petition, our former Delhi LG Najeeb Jung is among the petitioners. Anisha Mathur, who covers the courts, joins us. Anisha, what exactly does this public interest litigation that has been filed say?
Well, Rajdeep, this is a PIL that has raised serious concerns about the statements, the actions of high places. Now, Himanta Biswa Sarma is one of the multiple examples that this petition has raised before the Supreme Court, saying that the Constitution of India, which a sitting minister and senior officials take oath of office to, is about unity. It's about you take an oath to uphold the Constitution. You have to uphold the unity of the country. You have to uphold the dignity of all people. But the kind of statements that have come in from the Assam Chief Minister, from the Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami, as well as the UP Chief Minister, they've also quoted the recent comments made by former NSA Ajit Doval. And this PIL that has been filed by Najeeb Jung, John Dayal, and several other activists is effectively saying that constitutional principles must be preserved, and those who are violating their constitutional oath, some action needs to be taken against them, especially since the police does not do so. So we'll see when it comes up for hearing what happens once the matter gets taken up. Back to you.
Right, remember all of this, of course. Thanks very much. Anisha is coming ahead of Assam, which goes to the polls in a few weeks from now. And it's not just this video, it's also the other big battle, the charges and counter charges being made in Assam. Because over the weekend, Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma has accused his Congress rival Gaurav Gogoi of having Pakistan links, that Gogoi and his wife have been working in a way or have in some way got a Pakistan link. Gaurav Gogoi is going to join us in a moment on that issue. But I want to, before I go to Gaurav, tell you exactly what this issue is all about. Why is it that Himanta Biswa Sarma is repeatedly claiming that Gaurav Gogoi has Pakistan links, even as Gogoi has claimed that this is only being used to mask the corruption he claims that Himanta Biswa Sarma and his family have made in humongous land deals. Take a look at this report.
Assam politics is on the boil. The battle ahead of assembly elections is getting personal and ugly as Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma and his principal challenger Gaurav Gogoi trade charges. The slugfest escalated after the Chief Minister cited an SIT report and renewed his attack on the Congress MP, alleging links to Pakistan and questioning Gogoi's visit across the border over 10 years ago. Sarma flagged visa discrepancies and claimed a deeper connection involving Gogoi's wife, Elizabeth, and a Pakistani national, even alleging sharing of sensitive information.
गौरव गोगोई का विजिट मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ इंटीरियर क्लियर किया पाकिस्तान का 10 दिन और पाकिस्तान जाके आए किसी ने इसको पूछताछ भी नहीं किया हमारा एक रेस्ट्रिक्शन है कि हम डिजिटल फुटप्रिंट 10 साल आगे का हम एग्जामिन नहीं कर सकता हूं सेंट्रल एजेंसी का पास इसका टूल है तो मेरा यही रिक्वेस्ट होगा कि इस मामला को भारत सरकार फर्दर इंक्वायरी करे.
The chief minister is sinking in his own web of lies. To hide one lie, he has to come up with 100 lies. I have said that I have visited Taxila, and he has also not shown any evidence that I visited Rawalpindi. I have said, as per my passport details, I have been to early 2014. I've been to Lahore and Islamabad, and from Islamabad it's a day visit to Taxila.
Calling Sarma's charges a super flop political drama, Gogoi alleged the timing of the CM's press meet was meant to deflect attention from claims that the Chief Minister's family holds 12,000 bighas of land across Assam.
100 माह फाइलों पर क्यों हुई ऐसे এতিয়া নিৰ্বাচন কাক চাপিছে দেখিছে যে আমি তেওঁলোকৰ 12,000 বিঘাৰ মাটি কথাবোৰ ওলাইছো সময় পৰিৱৰ্তনৰ যাত্ৰা চাই অসমৰ ৰাইজ ওলাই আহিছে ৰাইজে পৰিৱৰ্তন বিচাৰে ৰাইজে নতুন বৰ অসম চাবলৈ বিচাৰে সেই কাৰণে এতিয়া নিৰ্বাচনৰ 2 মাহ আগত যি কথা 6 মাহ আগত ক'ব লাগি আছিল বা ৰিপৰ্টটো মুকলি কৰিব লাগিছিল বা কেন্দ্ৰীয় চৰকাৰক দিব লাগিছিল আজি তেওঁ 6 মাহ একোৱে নকৰিল
Gogoi has now threatened legal action against Sarma, even as he demands the SIT report be made public and the Chief Minister answer questions on land ownership. In Assam, politics has clearly crossed from confrontation into open combat. With Saraswat Kashyap and Tapas Sengupta, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let me go straight across to our newsmaker tonight, Gaurav Gogoi, the Congress's face in Assam, Deputy Leader of the Congress in the Lok Sabha, joins me. Mr. Gogoi, very serious allegations have been made against you by Himanta Biswa Sarma that you pose a national threat, that you and your wife Elizabeth, who's a British citizen, have links with Pakistan, that your wife was employed by a Pakistan-based company, that she was receiving monies from them, and that she even shared, according to the Chief Minister, confidential information with a Pakistan conduit and may even have a financial account in Pakistan and wants a central probe into it. How do you respond to these allegations which Mr. Sarma claims are based on an SIT report of your alleged links of you and your wife with Pakistan?
Rajdeep, I agree with you. These matters of national security should be treated with utmost importance. These are not mere political charges to be flung around carelessly in the aim to spread propaganda or win an election. But that is exactly what the Chief Minister of Assam is doing in his SIT report, which he had with himself for past 6 months. In September, it was made available to him. For the past 6 months, on a matter of national security, he did not choose to do anything. He did not refer to this report to the central government, even though it was available with him in September. And now that elections are 2 months away, now he is taking this action. I wanted to know if national security is so important. I agree it is very important. Then why, when the report was made available to him in September, why has he not acted on it? Why was he silent for the past 6 months? It clearly shows that he himself has read the report and not found a single shred of evidence to prove his wild, baseless and bogus allegations.
But with due regard, why have you not responded to specific allegations? For example, he makes the claim that your wife Elizabeth Colburn worked with an organization, an NGO, Lead Pakistan, run by one Tawqir Sheikh, former advisor to the Planning Commission of Pakistan, and he claims that her salary continued to be paid by Sheikh even when she moved to India with you. These are specific charges. For example, he says you went on a visa to Pakistan in 2013, traveled to different parts outside even your visa, what was marked on your visa, without informing the government of India in 2013. So he's making specific allegations time and again against you and your wife. Why don't you respond to each and every one of them?
Rajdeep, these allegations are not new. He's been making these allegations since the past 1 year, since February of 2025. And in June, after becoming the president of the state unit of the Congress party, I have addressed a press conference in Delhi at the AICC headquarters, where all these allegations and all these facts have been made clear. In last year's press conference and to various media channels in my state also, I have made all these facts clear. At the same time, I have never gone to court to block the SIT or sought any relief from SIT. I have always said that in matters of national security, I'm always willing to support any investigation. And would you believe the SIT constituted by the Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma not once visited me, not once came to me and asked me any of these questions that you're asking. Not once the SIT found it important to ask the questions that the Chief Minister is asking in his press conferences. So the Chief Minister may do one thing, but this SIT never came and asked these questions. And as I said earlier, all these facts I have made known to the public. For your viewers today on this show, again, I've said that back in 2000 Jan or early 2014, prior to me becoming a member of parliament, I had married my wife 2 months ago. She was part of an international program in which she spent 1 year in Pakistan, and then continuing to be part of that program, she went and worked for an Indian NGO, which was the part of the same international program. Having married just a few months ago, when she had to go to Pakistan for work and to meet with her colleagues, I felt that I should also accompany her, and I followed all the legal norms that one needs to follow, which is to apply for permission to cross the border, to give the Indian government all the details, to apply for specific cities where you want to travel to come back. And then, of course, my passport, after becoming an MP, I had surrendered to the government of India. So the Modi government knows about my visit, has seen all the stamps. I think, Rajdeep, I've spent only 10 days. I think there are many people in Indian media who have spent far more days than me in Pakistan. And as I said, this is nothing but an attempt of the chief minister to distract from the way the Congress party is going to the people of Assam with facts related to 4,000 acres of land being occupied by his family, by his wife, by various members of his family. I don't remember any chief minister of Assam ever owning close to 4,000 acres in a small state like Assam. This has only happened because he's misused power, changed land laws, and all of this corruption stands when people of Assam don't have land, when they are landless, when they don't have papers. But here's a chief minister who's going on with absolute corruption. Government schools are being shut. So this is nothing but an attempt to distract the people from the agenda that the Congress party is taking.
You're claiming it's a distraction, but he keeps making specific allegations. Did your wife, for example, travel to Pakistan 9 times after marrying you? Is it true that she knows someone called Tawqir Sheikh? Is it true that he was paying, or his company was paying her salary even in India? As I said, specific charges that he keeps making in his press conferences. Are you on your part willing to put out, let's say, a counter charge sheet responding to these charges that are made in these press conferences?
I've just finished a press conference today, and as I said last year, these allegations have been started by Himanta Biswa Sarma since February of 2025. So these are not new. I have appeared in national and regional media, and I've been asked on these questions many times. Every time I've happily clarified. There's nothing that I've not said before. I've said all the facts that in what circumstances, as part of an international program, she was first employed by a Pakistani NGO, and as part of the same international program, which was funded by governments of the UK and the Netherlands, she worked with the Indian NGO. And the said person that you've talked about, there are also reports that that said person has traveled to Gujarat and worked with the Gujarat state government when Shri Narendra Modi ji was the chief minister of Gujarat. Now, has the BJP decided to give the Gujarat government, the BJP government of Gujarat, a clean sheet, and are only poking these questions because I am taking on their chief minister straight and center in Assam? Why different yardsticks for Gujarat government, where they have worked with the said Pakistani individual, and different yardsticks for the spouse of a Congress MP?
But Mr. Gogoi, why don't you file a criminal defamation case then? If you believe that this is all part of a character assassination with an eye on the Assam elections, go ahead and file a criminal defamation against Himanta Biswa Sarma. Why the hesitation?
Well, as I said, we don't want to impede the SIT investigation in any way. We don't want the court to order a stay. We don't want any sort of relief from the SIT. We're willing to cooperate first. And secondly, if you read the headlines today in major Assamese papers, it says bogus press conference, fake allegations, chief minister failed to prove anything. And therefore, the chief minister managed to make a national embarrassment of himself, made a mockery of himself on national stage. And why should I prevent the chief minister from doing that? He's gone to the extent of constituting an SIT, and in the end, he's managed to find not a single shred of evidence that establishes me or my spouse as an agent of a foreign country. Both of us are proud of our cultures. both of us have decided to raise our family in Delhi.
Okay, I'm going to leave it there, Gaurav Gogoi. We'll wait and see how this plays out. It's election time, and therefore we can expect these charges and counter charges to fly about. But I thank you for taking the time off to join me here